Yep. Good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about how Node.js can connect with the MongoDB database. So, we learned about MongoDB database drivers and how we can communicate with the database. Actually, connecting with the database, reading data from database. This is one example. With both combination we learned from API. Actually, we haven't created API. We created a simple server-side communication. When client requests anything, we will send a response as JSON, and the data is sent as a response to the client, right? So you practiced this, everyone tried. Yeah. So you need to practice all these perfectly, because in the next step we will start building one project, and there whatever I am showing, that is 50% I will write the code, rest you have to write. So I will guide you in designing, and you have to design yourself. So practically you make sure that everything is working, right? Connection, all node and database drivers all are perfectly working, right? So yesterday what we learned is simple, how to communicate with the data and get the data, and we are returning multiple records. How to return any specific record? Actually, the results that we define in command prompt, here we are running node index.js. Server started on 5050. So HTTP, yeah, here we have 127.0.0.1 5050. It's going to get all the products. We want to return any specific product. If we want to return any specific product, one record, then we can use. Here we can change the command. We can write the query. Find is going to return all. We can use another query. So what is the query here is, we need to use find one. Find one will return only one object, and actually it fetches the first document. First document means the first record, right? And the first document means if you use empty query, it will get the first. Or you write specific ID is matching with which one? Suppose we are looking for 2, second one. Now this find is actually a promise. That means we have to use what? Then, and it will get the document. and this document we need to present. So console.log, we need to use that is document. Actually, it is not console.log. We will send as response, response.write, response.write and response.end. We are defining it. So if there are many documents to return, then you can use it. So this is another one. I am executing this, started, and we will request here, and it should get the first record matching. What is problem? We have to convert into JSON. We forgot converting into JSON. How do we convert this chunk into JSON? We have to use what? JSON dot what? String file. Which one? Document. Fine. And we will compile this one more, right? And we refresh, the document will come. It is returning only one object, any specific. So two find commands you can use to return the data as response. One is find to array. Another one is find one. You can use find to array when you are returning multiple records, more than one record. So depending on query, we need to use it. So here one more simple point I will give. So note here to return any specific document. To return any specific document, you can use find one. So it returns an object, it returns a document, it returns the document, the first occurrence, we will say, yeah, the first occurrence document that match given condition. That match given condition. Remember, callbacks will not work anymore. You have to use promise. So because you will be confused when you are watching on online some websites, because in those websites still they have callback syntax that will fail now, because now latest MongoDB drivers are using promise. So you have to use a promise syntax. Callback syntax cannot work. Right? For example, if few years back it is posted, it is fine. Where you will get help. Suppose various forums are there. So various forums are there. Stack Overflow is there. Am I right? Stack Overflow is one popular website. So where you can get answers for questions. On Google also, when you search, the first questions priority comes. Suppose I am using suppose here you are searching something like MongoDB. So here we are searching like MongoDB Node.js connection. Something like this we are searching. When I search for MongoDB Node.js connection, official website is okay. Other websites, some Greek of Greeks, some website, these are latest posted, so no problem. You can see they are 2024, 25 posted. They are no problem. If any old is there, who is this? W3 schools, huh? So you see, find, okay, you see here, they are still using the old technique. You see, they are still using this old technique. What is this technique? Callback. This will not work for you now. Why? Because now this callback technique has changed. Latest version is not using callbacks anymore. It is using promises. These people are very popular, but still not updated with the new one. These are still using, you can see, they are still using callback. They are using callback mechanism. Promise means they have to use what? Then catch, finally. The latest drivers are not supporting callbacks. So many people will face problem if they watch some website, try to implement that. So that is the reason better always you just go to the website. Who is that website? npmjs.com. In npmjs, you search for MongoDB drivers. When you search for MongoDB drivers, because they provide latest update, because it is 9 days back updated, and whatever latest features are there, they will tell you all the latest features. How to communicate, what are the new changes they are making, everything they will mention here, right? So you follow these people official guide. You follow these people official guide. Now almost here you can see they are using promises only now, using promises. But several websites, YouTube channels, so they are still showing callbacks, which is not useful anymore. You have to change to promise, right? So we are not using callback mechanism. We are using what? Promise. Callback mechanism means after this, you will have a function. This function have two objects. One is success object, error object. Success object contains documents, error object contains error. But that is now managed in new version using then and catch, right? So if you are dealing with one, then better always use this. So you have database dot collection and the collection name, some categories or products. Find one. So and then we'll get the document. So that document you can present. Okay, this is returning one document. If you are returning multiple documents, to return multiple documents, you can use find, which already I explained. Find with to array. You have to use find with to array. That also I showed you. Database dot collection products. So here we have find and your query which returns multiple dot to array, and then it will get the documents. We need to present those documents. So if you want to return specific, use find one. If many, then find. In MongoDB directly, find will return one object or many objects depending on the query. Here, always better use find one and find. So this is reading. How you insert, update, and delete data in the database through node. Same concept. We have to use insert one, insert many, update one, update many, delete one, delete many. Those commands we need to use. So we have to define the commands for CRUD operations. You already learned MongoDB commands. Those you have to use. Let's see. So how we can insert, update, delete, all these we can manage. So I will copy this code. Actually, it is returning one document, index.what.js. It is returning one document. Let's see, let's test the other commands. So how to insert, update, and delete. So for that, I am going to the test file. Okay, here importing the Mongo client is same. There is no difference in that. Importing Mongo client is same. Connecting with MongoDB is same. Accessing database, which database? Sample DB. Now in that categories, we want to add one category. For example, I will run this here. I will run node test.js. It is returning all the categories. It is having 4 categories. I want to add one more category. So some woman, fashion, something. One more category. It is expecting 2 details, the category ID and category name. So how to insert a new record? Let's see. To insert a new record, what we are doing here, we will remove this query. This is for reading. Remember, as of now, we are learning only one operation at a time. We can design all operations using API that you will learn in Express.js, how to create APIs. Here, we have to connect with the database table, insert one record into it. So first, we will design a record category, and category is an object, and what it is expecting? It is expecting category ID is how much? 5. category ID is 5 and category name. Category name some women fashion, something like this. Okay. This record must be inserted into categories table. From Node.js, we are inserting into MongoDB. So database dot collection, and what is the collection? Categories. And how to insert one record? We have to use insert one. And which record? Record is category. Directly you can write the record here. One record or array, multiple records, you can directly write here. So, or already we written, we will just use it, category. That's it. After that, then, and on success, we will just put a message. What is the message? Console.log. We will put the message record inserted. Record inserted we are keeping. But remember, we cannot view again the complete list. Why? Because as of now, we have only one operation at a time. To create multiple operations, we need to create APIs, routes and APIs we need to create. Okay. Let's run this and see. When I am running this node, that is test.what.js, it says record inserted. And you can go to the MongoDB driver, MongoDB compass, and you can check whether record inserted in the database or not. So let's connect, go to sample DB in that categories, and you can see the fifth one is added. The fifth one is inserted successfully. So we are able to insert a record. So that's very simple. We have to just configure a document and we need to insert. Remember, in future, this data will come from client. That data will come from client. How the data come from client? From a form. Client side, we will design a form. In the form, he will enter category ID and name, and he submit. That we collect here and insert into the database. We are going to build that. We are going to build that complete interface. First, we are learning from Node.js how to communicate with database, how to get the data, how to insert the data. Okay. This is one simple query of inserting. That is the simple query of inserting. This is example here. Inserting document. That is example for inserting document. This is the code. Test.js. Now let's see how to update the document. How to write the query for updating document. So now what I want to do is get the third or first, right? Get the third record and modify its name. That means we want to change the name, third record name. Suppose here I want to give some other name here. Kids accessories. I want to change this to kids accessories, something. So kids toys, accessories, something. Okay. So now how to handle update? How to handle update? Let's see. Now we need to use database dot what? Collection. What is the collection name? Categories. Categories is the collection name. And we need to use which command? Update one. Update one or update many. Update one. So you know the update one query, how to write. First find query na. Find based on what? Category ID is matching with how much? 3. After that, how to update? Update query. Update have operators na. Which operator I have to use? $set. Set, unset, rename. We have the operator. Okay, set what? $set. We need to put the query. What we have to set? Category name. What is the new name you want to set for that? Category name. Some kids toys, something like this. So kids accessories, toys, something like this we want. Now after that, we need to define .then, and on success, just put a message, console.log. We have to put a message, record updated. That is the message we are giving. So record generated, record created, and record updated. Now you see here, let's stop this and run the command again. This time record updated. Let's go to the design. When we go to the design here, I will refresh. Third one is still kids fashion. I will refresh and it is changed to kid accessories. We have modified the record. So from node, we are inserting the records. We are updating the records. Of course, delete I don't need to tell. I hope you can try. How to write the delete query? So this is inserting document, and this is what? Updating document. Updating document test.js. Okay. Another example, deleting document. Deleting document. How to delete document? To delete the document, suppose I want to remove the fifth one. I don't want the fifth one, right? Anything you can remove. So you need to just change the query now. So what is the query? Database dot what? Collection. Collection name. What is it? Categories. Categories dot what? Delete one. Delete one. You know, delete uses same find query. So ID, not ID. What is it? Category ID. Matching with which one? 5. Dot then we get a function. This function will put a message, console.log. So we have a record deleted. Like this we are defined. Now let's run this again. Then it says record deleted. And you refresh here in the database. You refresh, the fifth record is not there. Now you have only 4. So we are able to read the documents, we are able to insert the documents, and we are able to delete. This we are doing by using node. At a time, you are doing only one operation. In the next level, we will create a complete interface for all operations. We can handle all through routes, insert, update, delete, and everything we can manage. But first you need to learn how to handle the commands. This is example of deleting document. Deleting document. This is again test.what.js. So how to communicate with MongoDB database? By using node. From node, we have to install MongoDB driver, connect with MongoDB server, access the database from it, and perform operations like reading, inserting, updating, and deleting. Okay, now what is another point and specialty we discussed about MongoDB is it supports ORM. object relational mapping. What is the specialty is ORM uses an approach. That approach verifies, or that approach allows the developers to write for business requirements instead of writing for database. So what is the specialty is, even there is no database by the name you define, it will create the database. It will create the tables. It will add the data into tables. Everything you can manage through business logic. That is the modern way of communicating with the database. Earlier, developers have to write for database, but now we are writing for business. Let's see how MongoDB can do it, how MongoDB can manage that. So I am showing a simple example of ORM. So MongoDB ORM approach, how it actually works. So MongoDB ORM, actually, what is the concept of ORM? ORM is object relational mapper. Object relational mapper. ORM mapper or mapping, anything you can mention. So it allows the developers to write for business requirements instead of writing for database. Instead of writing for database. It allows developers to write for business requirements instead of writing for database. It eliminates lot of data access code. Usually developers need to write. For application. It eliminates lot of data access code. Usually developer needs to write for application. So ORM enables features like lazy loading, change tracking, identity resolution, etc. All these are the major features of ORM. If anyone asks what is the advantage of using this ORM mechanism, the advantage of using ORM mechanism, it enables lazy loading, change tracking, identity resolution like features, which are actually very important in application development. I will show you in a project design how these actually work. Lazy loading, identity resolutions, and change tracking, because they are already well known to you. In some occasions already you learned them. For example, in HTML also you have the concept of lazy loading. For example, you learnt about image, right? Image can load lazy. How? Image have an attribute called loading. Loading attribute can use eager loading as well as what? Lazy loading. So if you learn latest HTML, so latest HTML provides so many new features, and the image have a attribute called loading that indicates lazy loading or eager loading. What is lazy loading? It loads only when it is required. Only when it is required. That means you scroll to that place, then it loads. Otherwise, it will not load. Later, you will implement all these features. If anyone asks like what is the advantage of using ORM? This is one advantage. Not only that, actually, ORM supports various approaches to like you have an approach like we say code first approach, database first approach, like that. It supports approaches like code first, database first. Actually, there is another approach called model first approach, but it is not supported everywhere. You can implement that approach only using a framework called MVC. In MVC framework, you have a model first approach also. Here we can implement two approaches, code first, database first. What is this? Code first means developers will write the code. According to the code, it will build the database. It will build the database and everything. So means ORM will verify, is there any database by that name? If there is no database by that name, it can create everything for you. If already there is database, then it will not create again. If already there is database by that name, it will start using the database. So it is going to change the strategy according to availability. If database is available, it will use it. If database is not available, it can even create it. That is the approach it will enable here. Let's see how we can do. You see now, means no need to do any new thing here. You see in our databases, we have some databases. I want to create one database called shopping. Means I am building a shopping app. We are building some shopping app. And you see there is no database called shopping because alphabetically with yes, you have only one. What is it? Sample. I will refresh here. And when I refresh here, refresh database, and you see in the databases with yes, we have only sample. According to business requirement, we know that we need one database called sample. I already told you now, conceptual model, physical model, logical model, and entity. According to entity model, we know for our project what data we need, what fields we need, what data we need. Then see what we are doing. In the test here, we are connecting with the MongoDB server. We know the MongoDB server is running here. Now we will use where database is equal to client object DB, database name as shopping. But there is no database by this name in my MongoDB. In MongoDB, there is no such database. Okay. And database dot collection that is products is a collection. And Observe, I don't have any database called shopping, and I don't have any, if database is not there, collection obviously not there. We will use insert one, and we are inserting one record. That means one record. So record is like ID and a name and price. Just only one record I am inserting, something like this. Okay, dot then and function, and so function is just shorthand I will give, right? And here we will just put a message, console.log. I will put a message as collection database and collection created. I will use database and collection created. That is the command I am running. Okay, you see now, you created a simple communication. In this communication, there is no database, there is no collection by this name. You see, we don't have any database by that name. Now what I will do is simply, we will run the command. What is that node? Test.what.js. In your logic, you written so many things which are not at all there. Then you see it says connected, database and collection created. Okay, we will see here, we will go, and you see still shopping is not there. I will refresh the databases, and you see shopping is created. A database is created. In this database, there is a collection called products. In that products, there is data that you have mentioned. That means it generated everything for you. Now, next time, I will insert one more record. That means, let's do one thing. I will go to this, I will go here. I will record number 2. This is mobile, and I will add some different price. Now tell me, will it create table again? Will it create the database again? No. This time we will say record inserted like this. And you run this now. You can see that this time record inserted. And you can observe, you just refresh here. It is going to add the record. So it implicitly implements this strategy. Actually, 5, 7, 10 years back, developers always have to wait until database is ready. Once database is completely ready, once it is designed, and we start connecting with the database, we write logic. In the beginning of this framework, when it was introduced, developers are very excited with this because they have never seen such thing that you write logic, it will create everything for you. And remember, this is not just only logic. In other technologies, we have an approach in such a way that you just draw a table. That means you just draw entity diagram. You draw a drawing entity diagram. It is going to generate everything according to diagram. It is going to generate everything according to the diagram. You just draw the diagram, it will create everything according to diagram. That means in diagram, what tables you mention, what fields you mention, it will generate everything. And I am talking about this approach started in the early 2012, 2013. That means almost we have 10, 14 years almost we are using this type of mechanism. And this is not artificial intelligence. This is not artificial intelligence. That means actually now people are very excited about artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence means you tell what you want, it is going to generate everything. But these kind of things senior developers have already seen so many years back. Only the point is 10, 15 years back we have used it. For example, I showed you na. Suppose you see this is presentations I am having. You see, these are the presentations of where is it? Entity framework is there? Yeah. Actually, you see this entity framework presentation. This latest modified, this one actually entity. This is in 2016. This is in 2016 we designed this entity PPT, PowerPoint presentation. Actually, we designed this for our .NET people. That means when I was teaching .NET at the time for .NET people, we designed this presentation to show them what is the new approach, entity framework approach. And by the time we designed this entity framework have almost it have 4 versions released. This is 4th version actually. 4 version released means almost in 2010, 2011 this concept came. Right? Actually, there what is the concept you see? What is the concept? This is the approach. Approach is nothing but you design the domain classes, means business related classes you write. According to that, it will create the database for you. Already there is database, then it will communicate with the database. There is another approach, actually model first. Model first approach means you just design the model. It is going to generate the logic and data for you. There is another specialty we have in technology, scaffolding. We have a technology called scaffolding. Scaffolding is a mechanism. It came with a technology called Ruby on Rails. What is the scaffolding technology is? Developer will ask the software that I want to do CRUD operations. The software will ask what is your database. You have to select the database and just finish. It will write the logic for you. It will generate the UI for you. UI means one form for inserting, one form for updating, one form for deleting. UI also it generates. We call this mechanism as scaffolding. Right? I am talking about this 10, 15 years back. That means we already have seen these kind of major technologies using this kind of implementation. And we also know that this is not going to be complete change in the software development. It will just help the developers. Now these days people are very much afraid. What very much afraid? That artificial intelligence will take all the jobs, right? It will never happen. Don't get afraid of that. It will never happen. I will tell one simple example. You learned HTML. Where you learned? You joined a course, na? Why you joined a course to learn a technology? On YouTube, hundreds of videos are there. Tell me frankly. On YouTube, on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js, Angular, every technology, free hundreds of videos are there. Then why you joined a course? You can learn by using those videos. Huh? Why you joined course? Why you wasted your money? Free. Even our Naresh IT YouTube channel have a complete C++ videos A to Z, 100 videos. Millions of people watched already. Right? Then why you joined course again? You don't have any work at home. Huh? You don't have any work at home. Your parents saw that you are roaming here and there. They kicked you to go and learn some course while you are wasting time in home. That's why you joined. Some people, the reason is that, right? For some people, the reason is the same, right? Then others, my point understood. Free videos are there, man. Hundreds of free videos are there. Full course videos are there. Why you need to join a course? Learn from that. That means we have a full confidence that your brains are not so genius that you can understand through those videos. Understood? We know that. We know our developers' capacity. That means artificial intelligence. Our developer don't know how to Google first. Now forget about using artificial intelligence at high level. Right? That means we have full confidence on our developers that even I give artificial intelligence, he don't know how to use it. That is the reason we are not even interested in that much. It will save some time, but it will not replace your jobs. 100% it cannot happen. Why? Because we know that we have seen such things. We have seen already such artificial intelligence and all these already. What do you think Google, Microsoft like people? So they have to come into the market of artificial intelligence just because of some new people come into market saying that we know artificial intelligence, we will take over, Google will go down now, Microsoft will go down now. That's all nonsense. Why? Because Google and Microsoft like people already know all this. They have already everything pre-built. They are only just waiting for the right time to introduce it. And somebody suddenly comes and says that I am the first person. So Google is not afraid of you. Why? Because already they have this. Microsoft is not afraid of you. They have already this. They are already doing lot of work on this. Only the point is they know that it is not great to introduce to the humankind artificial intelligence. It will take lot of problems. It will create lot of problems. That means it is not good. Artificial intelligence is great, but it is not good if it is not under control. You cannot control it. Sometimes it will go out of your control. It will create lot of issues. That is the reason everybody is waiting that, okay, let's use it limited. We don't involve in this everything. That means now these days people come and say that, sir, in chat GPT, I given one diagram, automatically it written a code for the diagram. Come on, man, 15 years back we have done this. 15 years back we have done this. Right? This is not a new thing for us. For you it is exciting because you don't know the complete technology. So for others it may be exciting, but that is not very exciting. We have seen such things so many. You know, scaffolding is one such concept which was introduced by a technology called Ruby. Many of you people don't know that there is a technology called Ruby. You know that only Java, .NET. For you, software is what you know around you. That's it. But you know, many technologies came from Ruby on Rails. Ruby is one famous technology, and it introduced this scaffolding concept. Even today, several technologies use it. Scaffolding is nothing but you ask for one requirement, it will generate everything for you. So actually, this is the concept of ORM, Object Relational Map. And this is not any artificial intelligence. Actually, it is a approach where you can build everything according to your requirements, right? So this is not artificial intelligence tool. It is a programming technique. It is a programming technique. So actually it looks very interesting. Means I written just logic, how it created database, collections, everything. And how it knows that already there is database. Next time it will not create database again. It will just start using it. Means all the strategies are inbuilt. So this is the concept of how it works. Basic point here. Means you don't have any new code here, just only one simple code I written here. What is that? Test.what.js. What you do, there is nothing. Same logic what you learnt about insert command. What you do, give a new database name, give the new collection names, and you insert automatically. It will create everything for you. You don't need to do anything, no settings, nothing you have to do. Automatically it will implement, right? This is actually the strategy of MongoDB. And we have another library for handling this kind of interaction. What is this library? Asynchronous and managing other interactions. Actually, how you can make these functions also asynchronous? Suppose I am inserting, I am updating, or I am reading, I am doing some interaction. Then how you make these asynchronous? If you want to make asynchronous, these interactions asynchronous, in JavaScript, you can use async and await. That means what you can do is JavaScript. So you can use, so one important, so async techniques. So async techniques, one simple point I will tell you. Actually later other options also available. Async technique actually, so what is the purpose of this? Because already last session I explained, promises are asynchronous. By default, they are asynchronous. In JavaScript, already you learned promises, callbacks like mechanism. Now, how to make the requests asynchronously work? How do we execute the function asynchronously? So you can use JavaScript. JavaScript provides async and await to configure actions, using unblocking technique. Unblocking will not block other tasks while performing the specified. Unblocking will not block other tasks while performing the specified. Generally, how you write asynchronous functions? Usually how we write the asynchronous functions to write asynchronous functions. So we have to use async function, the function name. And so return await the result or value, you can use anything. Async and await. Actually, in MongoDB and other third-party drivers when we are using, we have to implement the request asynchronous explicitly. MongoDB internally have some library. Those libraries are already asynchronous. It will provide async and sync libraries, which next level you will learn. So some libraries that you are working, the libraries, they are synchronous. You have to explicitly make it asynchronous. So asynchronous, how we make anything asynchronous? By using async and await. For example, what we are doing, we are trying to read the data from a collection. So that means what we are doing, we are trying to read data from any collection. So what we have to do here in this example, see, we are connecting with the database. So while connecting with the database, on success, it will get a client object. Client object will get ready when the connection is completed, successfully connected. Then what happens? The client object is ready. And what client object will do? It will load the database. That means client object is going to load the database into the memory. Into this memory, it loads the database. So what we can do is we can get this database from the memory and load the database in the memory and keep it ready while it is connecting. Simultaneously, you can do these two tasks at a time. That means instead of waiting at a time, you can perform both. So it have any problem in connection, then suddenly it will go to the error. If there is no problem in the connection, then it will load the database. That means actually first this request, after that this request, two requests it has to make. Now we can make these two requests at a time. Both requests will execute at a time. And if this is finished, immediately this is ready. That means it is a little fast. How you can make that? So on success, the client object should execute using async. We have to use async. We have to put async. Async means this function will execute asynchronously. This is the function now. Actually, that is function parameter. I written in a shorthand way. Actually, original how you write function. Function parameter is what? Client object. Now this function is asynchronous and it have to use await. It have to use await. That means what it is going to do, it is going to connect with the database, get the data, and it will read the data. And you see, this async is going to connect and fetch the data asynchronously. Here you can implement it, or here I don't need that because first connection successful, after that loading the database. Here I want synchronous. Then what we do, we don't need to define that here. We will remove this. Now while reading the data, we can try. What we can do, database dot what? Collection. What is the collection name? Collection name is what? Products. Products collection, we have which one? Find. Find is going to return all the records. Then dot, we have to use what? To array. To array will return all the records using what? Then will actually how to write originally, it uses a function. This function will get what? Documents, and all those documents I need to print. That means I will use console.log. And what are those documents? We are using these documents. You may be storing them in a separate location. That means you can create where products is equal to what? documents. And after that, we are using console.log what? Products. Now what we can do is, I want this function to execute without blocking. Then what we can do, we can make it as what? Async. And these documents are returned by using what? Await. Await. You can access these documents using await. You can print the documents directly by using what? Await. Using await. At reading and printing the documents using await, this is enough. This is how we need to configure. That means we can make an asynchronous request. This asynchronous request is going to perform the tasks without blocking anything. Actually, later you will see APIs. There we will write async methods. So many, all we will write async methods. So you can use this in your fetch, in your map, in anything is taking time in reading the data synchronously. It is reading, because what is toArray? toArray is reading one by one all the documents. So, and it is returning all the documents. What is the meaning of asynchronous means? Don't wait until all the documents are finished. So asynchronous means what? Read one and store one. While it is storing one, second one it is reading. Simultaneously it is performing the tasks, right? Actually you can implement in fetch also, na? Right? You can implement that in fetch also. So here suppose we are running this, that means it returns the document. But this time we are adding little more easy option. That means it can handle fast. It can handle fast. Already, you know, these async manually you can apply for any function. For any function. That means this function asynchronously executes. It will get the data and it will return the data asynchronously. Without blocking, it can perform. This is little faster in communication. But in MongoDB, what we have to do is, already there are promises. Promises by default are asynchronous. Promises are default asynchronous. Earlier, it was a very effective one for MongoDB, because MongoDB uses callback techniques. I showed you now. Even you saw W3 schools, they are still showing which mechanism? Callback mechanism. In those callback mechanism, it is no surprise that they use async. Why they use async? Because callback is synchronous. That's the reason we don't need to use this async when we are using promise. When you are using promise, because promise itself is async. So people will use this when they are dealing with callbacks. Actually, what is the callback technique? I will show you. Callback technique means, what is the old method which you will see on YouTube websites everywhere? Database dot what? Collection name. What is the collection name? Collection name is what? Products. Products dot we have what? Find. Find will return all. It uses a callback. In the callback, what it has is, it have a function. This function usually returns two objects. One, it returns documents. Another one will return an error. It is going to return document and error. And we have to write like this. If there is no error, then console.log, we have to print what? Documents. This is synchronous technique, callback mechanism. Even today, several websites still show you the same syntax, which you should not follow, because you have installed the latest version of MongoDB drivers, and that MongoDB drivers latest all uses promises on. That means you see, suppose I run this now. That means we are running this here, node, what is it? Test.what.js. And test.js, you can see it is not returning any data. But the same syntax you will find everywhere. right? Many websites will show you the same syntax, but it will fail now. Why? Because our version, their version is not same. Their version is an older version. So we are using the latest, which is already built with promise. If already built with promise, better to use it, right? Better to use it. And here we don't need much async technique because promise itself is async. So we have another library for that. It is not returning anything. I will terminate this. So this is actually promise mechanism, right? Sorry, not promise. This is what? Yes. This is callback mechanism, right? Now we have an alternative for handling that. Instead of using these, we can implement another one. What is another? Mongoose drivers, Mongoose for MongoDB. We have another one, Mongoose for MongoDB. And what is the concept of MongoDB? Mongoose is actually, it provides, it is not drivers. It is a library. And this library provides an approach of asynchronous object-based interactions with the database, right? That is what here Mongoose is. You go to npmjs.com and Mongoose is the library we are looking for, and it is using ODM. It is using ODM approach. I showed you ORM. I told you about the ORM approach. This uses ODM approach. And object modeling tool. This is object modeling tool, and it uses majority of asynchronous. And remember, it is not drivers. That is where many people are confused. That means many people come and ask like, sir, I have seen in website and YouTube channel, they are using Mongoose. Why you are telling us MongoDB? Right? Then what to talk with such people who don't know anything about a tool and a drivers? Right? That means I should ask them that, okay, ask that YouTube person why he is using Mongoose. You ask, then come back with the answer. Right? See, on YouTube everywhere problem is a person who tells you about a technology, he will tell you according to his work experience. That means where he is working, there, how he is using his work experience, he will tell you. Due to that, you may think like that is the way we have to follow everywhere, right? Your work experience, you are telling us on YouTube, and our project have a different environment which don't have the same. Then why we should follow you? Right? That is the problem. That is one major problem is these developers, they share their experience about a concept according to what they are using, how they are using it. That may not suit everybody, right? That is the reason you should correctly learn, right, which one for which purpose is good according to the situations, requirements, where which one to use. So technically, Mongoose is not drivers. Mongoose is what? It is an tool actually. It is a object modeling tool. Tool usually like a library with set of functions and all, right? So it is an object modeling tool. So Mongoose is an ODM. So you can say object modeling tool, but object modeling tool is an object modeling tool. It provides an asynchronous It provides an asynchronous environment for communication with MongoDB database. So inside this tool, they have different libraries. In those libraries, they have a library to connect with the database. That means Mongoose tool is having one library inside which will connect with the database. That means it works like a driver. But Mongoose is not a driver, right? It have some classes. They work like drivers to communicate with the MongoDB. That means you may ask like if it is not driver, how it will connect with the database? It is a tool. It's a library. Means it is having some classes inside the library which can work like what? Drivers. So Mongoose is not drivers. Mongoose have some drivers. By using those drivers, they can communicate. Of course, without drivers, you cannot connect with any database. To connect with any database, drivers compulsory. You need to set up the drivers and install that, right? And see here, what is the main concept? I will not completely discuss about this, just what is needed for communication we will learn. You see, this is the official website. This is the official website. And actually, Mongoose is also having a simple communication you can see. What is that communication it is having? So Mongoose is importing Mongoose library. It is having connect and it is connecting with MongoDB database, a specific database it is connecting. Then after that, it is accessing some, it is configuring some model or something. It is saving in that. So usually it is using a different approach of communication. Actually, connect means it is using drivers. Drivers for what? Connecting with the specific database. So we will not use this completely. We will stick with only the MongoDB, right? But in some companies, they may use it. That is the reason some basics I will tell you. How do we set up? How do we install and use this? Some basic options we will discuss about that, right? Because actually ODM is a complete separate library, separate tool. We have to learn this complete tool to use it, right? Some basics we will give here. So what we have to do is, the async functions, the async functions of Mongoose allow to handle interactions using unblocking technique. Now you have to just import. So just we have to set up, means install Mongoose for your project. npm install Mongoose. Okay. Now after that, we need to learn some object modeling basics. Through that object modeling basics, you need to learn how to communicate with the database. That we'll see tomorrow, right? In tomorrow's session, we will work with object modeling. Before that, you need to learn all these concepts. That means you try all the examples. Today, I showed you all CRUD operations with MongoDB drivers, right? You have to try all of them. Then Mongoose, we will finish tomorrow, because as I told you, just basic is enough for this Mongoose, not required. But because in companies somewhere they use, then we will learn both of them. And once you do this, now we will learn how to communicate with MySQL also. With which database currently we are communicating? MongoDB. Then we will see MySQL. What is difference and how it actually works, right? Tomorrow we'll continue, right?